Okay, well, once again, good morning, good afternoon, depending on wherever you are. Thank you for joining us today for our monthly partner training. We're going to go and move forward with the webinar, asking if people can hold their questions till the end. If you think of something during the presentation, enter your question into the question panel, and we will get to that after Chuck's done presenting. We're going to do two quick polls during the webinar today, so we appreciate your input on those. And then we'll have a drawing. Don't forget about the survey after the webinar. If you fill out that survey, you're automatically entered into a drawing for a $100 Amazon gift card. And we do award that card to a lucky partner every month. So please do take some time. It's probably going to take you all of 5 minutes to fill out the survey. So that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and introduce Chuck, who is one of our senior, more experienced solutions engineers, been with AirSpring a long time. And Chuck is going to introduce you to the world of machine language and artificial intelligence in the context of our managed SD-WAN service. VMware and AirSpring are very long-term high-end partners, if I can take that liberty and say that, going back to the Velo Cloud days. And we're always looking for ways to enhance our managed SD-WAN service. And VMware's Edge Network Intelligence, which Chuck Long is going to go into some detail on, is one of our newest additions to this product line. So that being said, Chuck, please go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Ellen. How are we doing out there in AirSpring land? Hope everybody's making some money today. We're going to introduce some new technology and some new acronyms, as well as overall some new machine learning language and all kind of neat stuff. So I think I have Ellen go. Oh, there we go. Always with me, we have an agenda so we can be focused on what we're talking about today. We're going to look at the Edge Network Intelligence, the acronym of E&I. We're going to look at what problems it addresses in the modern IT manager or IT department. But of course, we're going to be doing a lot of high level explaining of definitions, where they fit in at, how the E&I works, what protocols or devices that it goes into to do what it does, and then how does it learn and watch, as well as get into terminology like what are analytics, what are benchmarks, what are trends, because this is part of this whole edge network intelligence. And then, of course, how does AirSpring going to use it? VMware is a vast company, very, very large with many divisions. We came up through the SD-WAN Edge division, and that's how we're going to apply it. This is a journey. That's why I wanted to have Anthony Newton on here, because he said, now, Chuck, this is going to be a journey over the next, I don't know, 6 months to a year as we grow with VMware and we'll see that with a roadmap towards the end of this presentation. But also, we have a little extra treat in there. First time Chuck talked to you this year, got to come with a little extra flavor. Since we're talking about analytics and machine learning and network behavior, we're also going to show you the VMware SD-WAN reports. Any of you have any customers, which I know a lot of you do out there with our SD-WAN products, these VMware SD-WAN reports are in there today, as we'll see, and we'll be covering those as well. So as you can see, we have a lot on our plate today. So what's the problem, Chuck? What is this network edge intelligence thing? I get nervous when people bring up intelligence, right? Well, let's face it, let alone the last 2 years, the last 10 years, the IT manager, that department has become critical. Used to be an advantage. Now it is the business. That web homepage goes down, we're all looking for jobs, right? So more information coming in through multiple sources. How does the IT operations team keep everyone on top of it, stay ahead of it? Network monitoring, network, SNMP, things like RNMS, Orchestrator, all this stuff is trying to. SD-WAN helped out a lot. I mean, it gave us hot loops and remediation so that everything stayed up and run, but everything's staying up and run. Now we got more and more data coming in because it's coming in from the cloud. How are these people coming in from home? it's tough to keep track of what's going on in your own backyard these days, you know? And boy, it would be nice if the network could tell me who's not acting normal. Of course, I never act normal anyway, but what's not right? It's not normal pattern. We usually do this on Tuesdays. Why is this happening, right? But at the end of the day, and you're going to hear this on every AirSpring presentation we give this year, security, security, security. Because that is, whether it be at the edge or in the backbone, that's the main topic. Make sure everybody can talk to each other, make it fast, make it clean, make it cost effective, but make it secure first. So, as we mentioned, the edge is getting the enterprise edge. Now, enterprise to me starts with one node. We have a lot of one node, single node SD-WANs out there, and they grow into multiple nodes. And of course, we are the multi-location experts, where it's a couple hundred nodes domestically or internationally. But even the small enterprise edge is getting more and more complicated. Why? The cloud. The world's there. What do you want? You need Zoom? You want Skype? Office 365? No, Clinton, I can't get it in SharePoint. I'll put it in the Dropbox. It's all click, 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 click. And we don't care if you're at the home, in the office, in your car, in Mike Chase's trailer going down I-95. Who knows where he's going, right? It just has to work, and we have to keep running. At the same time, I got to know who's using what where, how often they use it, to make sure I bought enough bandwidth through the agents that AirSpring sells through to make sure all this is going to work. And now I got to analyze it all and give it to a CFO so he can tell me you're not doing it. It's a lot of number crunching coming in from a lot of different devices. So, our main customer is that IT manager. At the end of the day, that's him and the CFO and a couple other ones, but that's who we have to aim our features and our benefits and things to. So as we go forward, we're going to define a lot of terms. And the first thing you're going to see on the VMware E&I data sheets that customers can go out get publicly, as well as the AirSpring data sheets for E&I, is IOPS, ML. What do these acronyms mean? Artificial intelligence operations, machine learning. Now, artificial intelligence, it's machines, chips, using algorithms to learn behavior of devices. There's many. You Google that topic, watch out. You're going to get a lot. VMware, and this comes right, all this stuff, Chuck doesn't create it. He cuts and pastes like the rest of us. VMware's E&I is vendor agnostic artificial intelligence for IT operations solution focused on the enterprise edge. Very focused statement there. The edge, far edge, focusing on to bring that information back to the IT operations. Don't care how I get it, who I get it from, just got to get it. In the rest of the, in the wiki key world where everybody goes to see what this means, IOPS, and there's about 10 different meanings. This was the most one I saw, stands for intelligence for IT. Tools do this by performing analysis of mass quantities of event data and inferring probable root causes based on data analyzed from previous similar issues. Yeah, you knew an engineer wrote that one. It's going to look what's going on. It's going to compare it to what happened and tell you that it ain't what it was or something's changed. But it's going to do it in microseconds, not in days, because it learns as a machine. Its computer is incredibly fast. I mean, come on, this is, machine learning. Now, machine learning is the analytics, or I should say the algorithms that the artificial intelligence learns. Now, we've been using algorithms, I don't know, 50 years. You used at least 10 algorithms to get into this meeting. You logged into your PC, got authenticated, that was an algorithm. Your DNS sent out a request to join to go to WebEx, that's another algorithm. So yeah, you're using that algebra and calculus and algorithms all day long, Now machines, without any human explicit instructions, are going to use these algorithms to make statistical analytic models to compare what is normal over certain periods of time, thus creating trend analysis. A lot there. VMware's E&I will use machine learning, big data analytics to ensure the devices at the edge of the distributed network can access applications consistently and securely. So they're going to look to see what is normal, learn that, but it always keeps learning. It never stops learning. Even after it sets up its benchmarks of a 2-week process and then trends maybe 2 months, it continuously learns to make sure, looking for something that has changed, anything out there that we can collect and learn from. It does this by collecting from a wide range of devices. How we got invited to this party, and you're coming with us, is we came through the SD-WAN edge. We do the enterprise edge. We are out there on the far edge, bringing all the data back to the data center so they can get to the application goodies or up to the cloud to get that. Whether it be wireless or wired line, the first point of access to the edge is critical to this thought process. Why? How are things coming on and off the network? How you get in? Who are you? Could you have an ID? Do you have a passport? Do you have a ticket? Are you allowed to do this? And where you're going? What applications? Well, I would figure go to meeting and Zoom and voice and ERPs. We talk about these all the time, but there's all kind of communications devices out there that the E&I can talk to at the VMware level to gather this information. Now, as VMware moves this E&I product, remember, as we'll see on the roadmap towards the end, this is all part, just a piece of their overall SASE solution that will collect data so we can look for anomalies on the network so we can help the SASE keep the network secure. So as I said, this is a journey, one of the pieces of the overall SASE solutions that we'll be looking at in the future. You're going to see this slide a lot if you do go to a lot of VMware sites. Your customers, remember, we give them read-write access. They're going to be able to go into the edges, look at the E&I, look at the user manual. They're going to be seeing this slide a lot because what it really shows is that over here we have edges. I don't care where that is it work from home? That wonderful 510 model you can sell, or is it in a branch office, or is it what the new office is, like Ellen? She's at home, but she's in the office today. Next week, I'm going to be in the office one day or two. Doesn't matter where I'm at. It's just, can I get to DAX and Radix so I can turn up these wonderful orders that the agents got in through the SASE connection secure? That's the big picture there. So keep that in mind. You'll see this in a lot of seminars and webinars going forward. Now, how does the edge network intelligence work with our existing SD-WAN infrastructure architecture? Well, we know all about the orchestrator. Got, the eye in the sky, watches everything. It's getting a big hand at help right now. Goes through the Velo gateways. I'm sorry, I should have said, I wouldn't do that because it's all VMware now. The VMware gateways that we have and down to the edge. The E&I is a separate brain in the cloud, for lack of terms, with its own GUI that the end user can launch through the orchestrator or go direct to. And once the orchestrator tells the E&I brain, for lack of a better term, that this edge is out here and it has the proper license on it, and it's now set to send you analytics, the edge will start sending up analytics to the brain for it to start to learn. This connection right here, and I just learned this a couple days ago, can either be in the tunnel or outside the tunnel. It'll work both ways. So we have a lot of flexibility there. So that's how the edge talks to the E&I uh, engine, analytics engine is the official name, and the orchestrator in the backbone structure that when we put the license on. Very simple, very straightforward, very cloud-like, obviously, because that's where everything's already gone to. I, as normal, try to take the technology out and do a little what I call Chuck plain English. E&I is a monitoring tool. It's a voyeur. It watches, but it does something more than just watch. It learns what your network behavior is, and it never stops learning. And over the last 6 months, I've had this in my lab, and you can ask everybody I work with. You know, Chuck keeps bothering me in the middle of stuff because he's telling me the machine learned something new today. You know, could you see it? Can you see it? It's interesting at a minimum, but it is a monitoring tool. No matter whatever its job is to watch, send analytics up to the cloud, and learn what is normal for that particular network. So there's the machine learning with the big analytics, looking at the performance changes. You added more people at an office. It's going to notice that. It's going to say, oh, we're getting more requests coming in over there to go here. It's going to watch it at each level. You're going to see the suitor here. I'll show you some protocols. But unlike any other monitoring tool, you can't set any pre-canned notions or pre-canned SLAs. No, this is a child with an open mind. It's going to learn. Each network is different and unique, and they are. And this learns that way. So it's going to learn, benchmark, and then trend. And what is normal in network A might be totally different network B. A medical facility, doctor's office, dentist's office is going to have total different analytics than a retail store. They're in different markets, different industries, maybe using the same cloud access, but different requirements, different analytics. And then you get into the analytics and the reporting of this, and that's where it really, you take a step back and goes, what do you mean? Well, when Chuck walked in 2 weeks ago, at 2 of your nodes, your internet traffic's up 18%. Oh, okay. Gee, I wonder why. Well, I found out later on the day that at one of my nodes, 3 kids were on Easter, spring break, so they were at home doing all their TikTok work. So that type of thing. So don't get scared about the numbers or anything, but it is a monitoring tool that's going to learn that network behavior and provide trends, reports, and anomalies. Anomaly means it always does this, and now it's not. And it's going to let you know about that. What you do with that is up to you, but it's going to let you know. Now, some of the protocols you're going to hear and see in the E&I when you log in are ones that you use to get to this meeting today. You use these every day. You might not know it. Your IT department does, I guarantee it. And as it watches these different devices, like in our case, the SD-WAN device, it's going to look for applications or protocols, whatever you want to call them, of radius. Remote authentication dial-in user service. You logged into your PC. You use some form of radius. You logged into your VPN to get to your corporate LAN to get your goodies in the cloud. You use some form of radius. I love the fact they put the word dial-in in there because being an old person I am, reminds me of the old modem days that it's still hanging around. But it basically, you log in with a username or password, maybe a token, maybe multi-factor authentication. It's going to go to a centralized authentication system, maybe Active Directory, maybe Microsoft Radius. There's all kinds of them out there, and verify that your device are who you are, and we've double checked you, and we let you into the concert, or we let you into the store because we know who you are. Now, when you showed up, you now want to go somewhere in our network. So we're going to have to give you an IP address in our network to go places. So we're going to assign you an IP address. How are we going to do that? We're going to use DHCP. I know all of you've used this acronym, but you probably never knew what it stood for, right? That's okay. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It automatically assigns an IP to each device that's been authenticated. And then they can go anywhere on the network. We use this every time you install an AirPBX phone. We send a whole bunch of DHCP information to that phone so it can run back to the meta, get configured, come up so you can make money. So you use DHCP all day long. Use it at home. That's how you got on the network and that. And then once you have an IP address on the network and you want to go up to the cloud, or you want to go out shopping at Amazon Prime member or Google Docs, you need to go out to the web. Well, I need to take your request, Amazon.com, and send that out to the network with an IP address. So I go to like the operator phone book in IP world. I go to the DNS, domain name service. It takes numbers, it takes street address, and gives you a DID. I'll talk to you in phone language for those who like that. That's what DNS does. Reverse DNS goes the opposite way. You give me a phone number, I'll give you the address, right? Remember the old phone books that would give both ways? That's what DNS does across the entire internet. So it's going to look at how these protocols are reacting. In other words, oh, when Ellen usually logs in, she usually comes in very quickly. Well, today her DNS was kind of slow. We'll have to watch that, and it will. And if they start seeing a trend that DNS traffic is slowing down, that's going to, oh God, it's so long to get into the VPN. It's going to start maybe an anomaly about that. So that's how it uses at a very high level these particular protocols to get the information. Now, I just went over a lot there, folks. I know machine learning, artificial intelligence, is the computer going to tell Chuck what to do down the road? I don't know. Some morning it's going to, when it can come in and tell me my KPIs I can give to Clinton, then I know we have real machine learning. But with AirSpring, I always try to pitch us, and I hope we are to you, one of your better technical partners out there. We try to keep you on what's practical, but what's also cutting edge, because we have to maintain our market awareness to stay up to what our customer needs are. So as we apply this E&I to AirSpring, we're going to crawl before we walk, before we run. And in that, we are only going to do this with our SD-WAN, VMware SD-WAN devices. And coming out of the starting blocks, as we say, and as Anthony and then we saw the general announcement for it, and as we go forward, we are going to be looking for people to look at this software with us. We're only going to be looking at the far edge guys, the 510s and the 610s on day one. If you have any other hardware that might be interested in this, you are going to be talking to me, Mike, Clinton, John, Dave, the solution engineering team. The ordering and the installation and turn up on this is very cloud-like. Obviously, you call your CM or AM, get them on the phone with solutions team, typical sales call type stuff. Customer says, yeah, okay, some edges, we're working up into the cloud. Application's good for this. We'll apply the edge license to our existing 510 or 610. And we wait. I kid you not. There is no configuration for this. I shouldn't say that. There's one little checkoff box to enable the analytics, but that comes in when we turn the license on through the orchestrator. We connect it. Of course, we got to give you a login. Your login to the E&I is your same login that you have to the orchestrator, so that should be covered. But we have to let the machine learn the machine to learn, to gather analytics. what we're getting told to by VM that it usually takes 48 hours to 72 hours to do the first initial normalization, and then it begins learning and comparing. The more you feed it, the more it learns, the more analysis, more analytics you get. So that's what I mean by XYZ there. Um, on the 510s and 610s, the VMware, uh, how do I say this, certification people, testers inside there, no performance hits, will not hurt the box at all. You can do anything you want on those. Nothing will change other than getting the analytics. That's why we're only starting with them. I'll be very front and forward with you. You might as well hear it from me because you're going to hear it from me again. So that's why we're starting that way. We have this running obviously in the POC lab. We now have this running in operations and service delivery. As we always say, we always use and eat our own mud. But Chuck, that all sounds great, but what are we going to be watching? Good question. And we're going to put it in there, learn, watch. But what's it going to watch? And this bothered me for the last. You can ask my team. I'm like, guys, what this thing's watching this, and then it realized it hit me. You ever wonder how much tunnel bandwidth you're actually using daily right now, node to node, from one edge to the other edge, from my node out to the internet via the gateway, that kind of stuff, or traffic coming into my node through the gateway. Well, the irony is sometimes it just works out great. We're actually by default going to be watching all your tunnel traffic with this, and it's what you're paying for. So we're actually going to be watching what you're paying for. So that's a value add. We're going to be demonstrating that to the customers. And if you do look at the MSO or an MRC from us, it's the tunnel license. It's your gateway license that you pay us for. And by default, the E&I is going to tell you lots of things about those AirSpring IPs, whether they're private or public. And of course, this is just a value add. It's why we're your technical partner. That managed service that we always constantly tell you about, E&I is just an add-on to that value add of that managed service. So we're going to be watching those IP mobilities, the ones no matter what loop goes up or down that remote users using. Those 8.44.218 or .216 numbers for the technical people on here. Not only are we going to watch who's coming in, when they're coming in, we'll probably tell you what they're using to come in with, what kind of PC they're on. The information that this thing learns about is quite amazing. Inbound traffic using any AirSpring public IP. There's the IP mobility. Any outbound traffic being added to it. We're going to be seeing information about it through all the whole ISO stack, as you see, whether it be DHCP down at layer 2, 3, or web application traffic up going to TikTok. But we're not going to stop there. We also use private AirSpring IPs. I know a lot of you salespeople out there don't get under the hood that much. Well, every time you sell an Air PBX connecting to one of our Cisco switches or one of our switches back to the Velo, typical Air PBX setup, we use a 10.235 or 10.234 address to route all that voice traffic back to the Meta in New York or LA. We're going to be watching all that traffic. We're going to be watching keep alives from your phone to let you know, no, doesn't look like it's the network. That looks pretty clean. And oh, by the way, we use those same 10.235 addresses, 234s, for all those PRIs and analog ports you're running off the Adtran ESBCs. Yeah, even the Adtran gets a new name this year. It's no longer a router, people. It's an enterprise session border controller. That's coming from Adtran, by the way. So we're watching that traffic. Can't leave Cliff Timsit and the LD people out. Anywhere where they got the LD SIP trunks using our private IPs, whether it's directly connected to the Velo, to the the customer's SBC are using an Adtran, we're going to be able to watch that voice traffic and get its characterization as well. And of course, the interoffice, the MPLS-like, or what I call the RFC 1918 IPs, folks, what you have above you there, that's all tunnel traffic. That's what you're paying for. So that's what we're going to start off with. Now, I do have customers and agents out there that have write access to our orchestrators and our other GUIs, and they're do-it-yourselfers. They turn on a lot more things on the box, and they do it themselves, and we allow that. But they know the rules of do-it-yourself, and that is you're on your own. If you screw it up, we'll fix it for you, but you know how that comes with a price. So as we turn on the CNI, there'll be a lot of other features you'll be able to use and turn on. But right now, we're just going to be looking at the AirSpring IPs. Like I said, we're going to crawl, get this going. As our knowledge increases, we'll be turning on more and more. Let me click over here. And now, wanted to give you some screenshots here. And this background can be white lettering on a black background or black lettering on a white background. This little button up here called light, you can change it. It's up to you. But I just wanted to show you some screenshots in the ENI. Obviously, we'll be doing more in-depth training with channel managers and account managers and our agents going forward. Myself, Anthony, and Solutions Engineering team, doing demos and providing public demo links from VMware for customers to look at. But what you really see here is this is my PC I'm giving this presentation on. Well, actually, this one here, we tried to go with the Polycom phone. This is a Polycom phone, talks to the Meta through a Cisco switch, through the Velo, MAC address, the private IP, and it's telling me, because it learned from the MAC address, this is Polycom, here's the MAC, here's the public IP it's using, it's a phone, here's its DHCP server, here's its DNS server. And because it learned that, and it didn't learn it right away, for me, it was about 3 weeks to start populating all this. It's basically showing me over here the keep alive. If you never knew this, every IP phone out there about every 30 seconds says, "Hi, I'm still here." That is the keep alive traffic going from that phone through the switch, through the Versa, over Spectrum and AT&T loop, through the gateway, back to the Sansei and back, that he's watching to make sure it's working okay. If that traffic should change drastically, he would send out an anomaly to the system saying something's not right here. So that's a very high level usage. But as you can see, here's my PC that I'm on. I have both my Wi-Fi and my wireless on coming through into my lab. It's telling me what kind of PC in, how I was authenticated, what my IP address is on the local PC, as well as what IP address I came through. So there's a lot of info in there. Just wanted to give you a teaser. I don't know what we're going to call this yet, Anthony. Maybe we have a contest, name it. For us, it's exciting and new, and it does show incredible amount of information. But we're not done yet. They keep giving. Once you get into the ENI GUI software, you'll go under settings, and there is client software for free. You can get it up at the whatchamacallit, the Play Store and the where the Apple people go. I'm sorry, I'm a Android person, where the Apple Store. I'm sorry, yeah, that. But download it. They have it for Mac OS in there. I believe it's Snow Leopard and later. I'm not sure on that one. And then Windows 10 that you can run on the client software. And I'll show you a screenshot of it. The Android and OS just came up this week, so you can go up to store and grab them for on your cell phone. And when you put this client software on, when you go through an SD-WAN edge, if you have this client software on a device that goes through an SD-WAN edge, it'll start sending information about what it learned. The first I learned is that my battery was wearing out. I didn't realize I didn't have it plugged in. Memory, what version? Is it using Wi-Fi or not? Is it wireline or both? If it is using Wi-Fi, how strong is the signal? And what's the throughput to the local AP? And of course, what DNS stats do I have out to the internet and locally? And then you're able to configure on this client software. Right now we default it, but you will be able to configure 5 different internet pings so that the client is constantly pinging these locations to verify that it's got good internet access and time. So what I mean by that, Miles, is just show it here. This here is the client software that I was running on my home. I'm a Spectrum through Charter. This here, I turned on both my wired line and wireless, and it say I've got excellent conditions here, a good signal, getting 144 meg up and down on my Wi-Fi. Over here, my DNS is fine. And then, of course, this is me logging into my 620 in the lab. And because I had the software on, it told the node, said, oh, it's one of our guys. Gathered all the information, told the ENI cloud that this PC is coming through. That's his local address when he's using Wi-Fi at his LAN at his house in Thousand Oaks. And that's him wired line. And this is the 620 down at the office in Van Nuys telling me all about that, how I came in. So as you can see, a lot of information here, a lot of new toys to play with per se. Um, Very interesting for those people out there technically minded. But this is where our stepping stone to SASE is occurring. So my time is running out here, so I want to get this done. Now, total different subject. I'm sorry for changing on you, but I don't get in front of you. I wanted to make sure the agents, especially those who already have customers installed with us, you have many of them out there today, and this has been in there, I think, for the last 3 months, if not later. Any AirSpring managed VMware SD-WAN user that has write access can go into their orchestrator and create their own reports today. This is coming from the orchestrator now, not the ENI. This is just straight reporting, node reporting. But once that person who has write access generates those report, they can send out an email notification about the report to anybody, but they're not going to include that report with the email. That violates security. That person who gets that email notification must have at least read access to go get that report. Why? In that report is everything about your network, your IP addresses, where you're going, where you're coming from. It's not public information. So we just can't attach that to make it convenient. There's a security first rule there. What kind of reports do you get? You get a quick report for the whole network, or you can do a custom report per node or per network. Under custom, you can also put in reoccurring. So if you want a weekly, a monthly, or set a custom quarterly, you can do that. Email notification, I put in like 10 different email. I got, tired. I just, 2 or 3 or 10 addresses, doesn't matter. The reports can come in PDF or CVS format. PDF for the manager and execs, CVS for the trend number crunchers that have it out there. No extra charge. That's all part of it today. Once again, a value add to that MRC they're paying already. I know the AMs have been reaching out to a lot of customers, letting know that reporting's in there. This is what, when you go into the orchestrator GUI, this is what the reporting looks like. And I wanted to show this because it shows you what you really want of an IT manager out of that weekly report is what applications by traffic, applications by transport, what web traffic's going over what loop I have out there. The infamous, how much 4G LTE backup did I use this month? So I'm not getting overcharged, right? Am I going to non-SD-WAN destinations? But who are my top talkers and where are they going to? That's all in there. So you have that now. This will help retention, keep them in there with reporting because we're doing their homework for them, right? And this is what some of the screenshots from some of the reports. This is how it's delivered. It comes in a nice zip file, very small. This one here has the weekly as well as the different CVS reports. You get enterprise traffic distribution. How much is going from the node to the cloud via the gateway? That's the AGA tunnel license you pay for. How much is going directly out to the internet? How much is going branch to branch? All that's in there. What top 10 applications are we running? Nice charts. Me and my lab, it's always RTP because we have those video cameras in there. But also you get your top talkers. In our lab, it's the Maryland Farm 60F out there with all those college kids behind it, cranking it up, right? So there we have it. Finally, what happens next? Where are we going? Remember, I said this was a journey at the beginning of the presentation. This little snippet here, you're going to see a lot of. It's all over VMware's manuals, data sheets, and so forth. And I asked the product marketing team, and Anthony helped us out here to give us a little roadmap where we're going. E&I is part of the SASE solution that I hope we'll see by the end of this year. I don't know, but I fingers crossed. I think we can. It is the monitoring. It's the voyeur of that process. No matter where the users are coming in from, as they go across, they're being watched in baseline, whether they come in through SD-WAN or whatever services to the apps that they're using. But what we have up here is a nice brief that you can use to your end user. So what is this E&I? Look, it collects user data, starts with an hour setup, minute by minute basis. Baselines or benchmarks on a 2-week rolling average. So after 3 days, it's trying to tell you how it's learning, but realize every network's going to be different. So I can't tell you they're all going to be ready in 48 hours. Around there, you know. After 2 weeks, it's stored and it can be retrieved up to 2 years. So those 2-week storages become trend analysis over the years. So realize as we collect the data, we're looking at it, put it in a 2-week package, then trend analyze that over a longer time to see as we added this new software, the new users added more, we now need more bandwidth, those type of things. Then in the analysis section, VMware does provide benchmarking against other industry. Are you in this medical industry? Are you in the retail industry? Are you in manufacturing? Are you in supply chain, logistics, that type of stuff. But keep in mind, the more we feed the machine, the more it learns, the more analytics we get. So that's what I have for you today. So Ellen, I'll covered a
Well,
lot
let's,
there. I
yes,
mean,
thanks, Chuck. Anthony, did you want to add on to this
oh yes, please.
roadmap section?
Yeah,
Anthony,
no, I would,
yeah.
yeah, appreciate it, Ellen, and thanks, Chuck, for walking through. I'll just make a couple quick comments. And, you may be asking yourself, well, why the two-week rolling average? The assumption based there is that if a problem exists within that IT environment, it goes beyond 2 weeks, it's probably no longer an issue or front and center for the IT manager. Now, with that said, from a roadmap perspective, that is one of the things we're going to be watching very carefully is that enough? And if we need to extend or capture or retain data on a longer basis, we'll be watching that very closely with VMware to make sure that that's appropriate for our customer base. The other thing too, I think I would point out is Chuck mentions here, the vertical industry side of things, as they're building these inferential statistical models behind it in the machine learning engine, if you will. I think it's important to note it's not using dummy data, right? Dummy data can be created with scripts, and it's not actual customer data, if you will. Well, this is using actual, real, live customer data. So I think the vertical industry benchmarking over time will further strengthen the predictability of those models. And it's not just the customer data; it's customers and the industry, their peers, if you will, within that industry that will be able to strengthen the model. So I think that's a valuable piece there as well. I'd also just say though that Chuck brought up the demo side of things. We're kicking tires here today, and Chuck, you did a great job of walking everyone through. But I would encourage everybody, let's get in the car and take a test drive. The demo is really where you're going to see how the tool works and how it can be applied, and how potential customers would use these tools to solve problems. So I would encourage everybody to consider that as we go forward. That's really all I'd add there, Ellen.
I do, at this point, it might be good to, because there's a question that came through on the Q&A panel. So we've talked about the monitoring and the learning, but in addition to collecting this data, does it do any remediation? I mean, you hear VMware talk about creating a self-healing network. Does it act upon any of these measurements it collects and data that it collects?
Oh, I'll get in trouble now, but you know me. From what I've seen and how it works, it reports the anomaly. It doesn't fix the anomaly because all it does is watch. Now, my guess is in the VMware pitch, they're probably going to have, like in this screen we have up right now, as the SASE evolves, a different device that would handle that. But that would be the length of my knowledge on that one.
Yeah, that's correct, Chuck. I would just add to that in my actual meeting with the product person over at VMware, Travis, that is the vision longer term where they want to get to. It's more of the same concept of predictive analytics kind of thing, and then prescriptive concept. So it isn't there today, but that is the long-term vision, and there's no timeline set to that. But I would just say, my comment about the strength of the models and the using real data, industry benchmarking, that sort of thing. I think that will push them closer. The question will be, well, how fast is that, right? How quickly is it going to allow them to get to a degree of confidence that they not only identify an issue but make a recommendation, if you will, right? Today it's going to be more of an inferential where it's like, hey, something looks funny over here. You want to go check it out, essentially, versus, hey, there's actually something wrong here and it's going to be this. And there's a high degree of confidence that it's going to take it, it's going to allow you to take action or take action itself.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would hope that, and this is prediction, not fact, prediction. A year from now, I'm telling you how the edge told the ENI I have DNS issues on this loop, and the orchestrator told the policy to move it over. But that's a year away. But that's what I would hope to see from VMware down the road, because
That's the journey, Chuck.
that's the journey. I know, Anthony, it's a journey. I get all excited. I want to run. It's slow. It's a process and a journey. But yeah, first we have to watch and see what's there. But that's a good question. Any other ones there, Ellen?
Yeah, before we move on to unmuting lines, when you were talking about the in-tunnel traffic,
Hmm.
you stated E and I could be either in or out of the tunnel. So is the option actually either or can it be both in and out of the tunnel?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I'm going to have to find that out. Now, right now, what I've been told is that we can use either one. I don't know if we'd want it to be both, because if I put it over the tunnel, it's already being protected. You know what I mean? At the layer 1, 2, 3 between us and the edge. To me, I'm more making sure that if I don't go tunnel, I want to make sure my business policies are set up right so that I have it as a priority it needs if it doesn't go tunnel. If you can run both, I'll find that out and let everybody know. I don't know if I really need that. It might be overkill because now we're adding more overhead. But
Hmm.
I'll find out for that. I know it can be one or the other. I don't know if it can be both, but we'll find that out.
Okay. And then just another one final writing question. Just
Sure.
clarification on existing customers. If they, we have our partners on here, they call their customers and say, hey, we have this great tool for you to look at, ENI, AirSpring's providing it. If they are existing SD-WAN customer and they want to get it added to an SD-WAN box, do we have the procedure for that worked out today?
Yes, we do. That's one thing I'm very proud about Anthony and his team. They've got us all internally trained up, as well as now we are going to go through a little scrutiny, because, like I said, we're really aiming at the true edges. The 510s and the 610s out there, because we know they've been tested via VMware. And I could put the edge license in there and not affect any performance or anything. That's why we're going there first. But yeah, we want to verify that customer. Now, obviously, um, we'll work with the AMs and the agents, or the CMs and the agents, depending how they want to do that, to get those customers in. Because, like I said, the onboarding process itself is, once the paperwork is signed and in, the actual turn up itself is really the customer doesn't even have to be involved, to be honest with you, because all we're doing is adding a license to that edge and then waiting to learn, and the same login they have today, once we turn that license on, when they log into the orchestrator, into the GUI, they'll see the analytics pop up in their GUI now, so they can click on that. But you got to let it learn, though. That's the key part there. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. One final question which came through. Okay, VMware ENI, can you use it? Is it just for VMware SD-WAN, or can you use it on other SD-WAN networks, like with the Fortinet SD-WAN that we sell?
Um, I'll put on my VMware hat now, taking off my AirSpring hat.
or does Anthony, Anthony, do
Yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
data on this? Yeah.
the VMware software ENI has different ways of being installed in other people's products, whether those be switches, access points, servers. They use names like crawlers, and they already have, certain partners of VMware um, already have in their user manual on ramps on. Um, it's interesting because VMware and Fortinet are both going after this market. Typical AirSpring, breast of breed, have them both, and they both could probably talk to each other. But as we are right now, we're just crawling before we walk. But that is something that we probably have to look at down the road. It possibly can be done, yes. Product wise, will we do that? I will leave that to Anthony, but it's something that could be done. But whether but you will get customers that will ask once they see this, can we on ramp these other devices? And we'll take them one at a time as they come.